Welcome to Cloud Stories, the podcast about Microsoft Azure. This episode introduces you to the basics of cloud computing, Azure, and how to get started with Azure's subscriptions and accounts. When Windows Azure came online to the general public in February 2010, there were solely database services, websites, and virtual machine hosting available. Over time, Microsoft constantly added features and new services to Azure, and, as there were more and more offers for Linux and other non-Windows services, Microsoft decided in April 2014 to rename Windows Azure as Microsoft Azure. Since then, Microsoft has constantly improved. Azure is a cloud computing platform with an ever-expanding set of services to help you build solutions to meet your business goals. If you're wondering what exactly cloud computing is, then answer is simple. Cloud computing is the delivery of computing services over the internet by using a pay-as-you-go pricing model. You typically pay only for the cloud services you use. You can treat cloud resources like you would your resources in your own data center. When you're done using them, you give them back. You're billed only for what you use. Instead of maintaining servers, networks, and storages in your data center, you rent them for the time that you need them. The cloud provider takes care of maintaining the underlying infrastructure for you. If you've been around cloud computing for a while, you've probably seen the terms infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service for the different cloud service models. These models define the different level of shared responsibility that a cloud provider and cloud tenant are responsible for. Infrastructure as a service model is the closest to managing physical servers. A cloud provider keeps the hardware up to date, but operating system maintenance and network configuration is left to the cloud tenant. This includes virtual machines, networks, appliances, and many other infrastructure-related resources. Platform as a service model is a managed hosting environment. The cloud provider manages the virtual machines and networking resources, and the cloud tenant deploys their applications into the managed hosting environment. So, the consumer is not responsible for the underlying infrastructure. Software as a service is the model with the lowest levels of control and required management. It is reachable from multiple clients and consumers, and the owning consumer doesn't have any control over the backend, except for some application-related management tasks. Furthermore, there are a number of deployment models for cloud computing that need to be discussed: public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Each deployment model has different aspects that you should consider as you migrate to the cloud. In a public cloud, services are offered over the public internet and available to anyone who wants to purchase them. Cloud resources like servers and storage are owned and operated by a third-party cloud service provider and delivered over the internet. In a private cloud, computing resources are used exclusively by users from one business or organization. A private cloud can be physically located at your organization's on-site data center. It also can be hosted by a third-party service provider. Hybrid cloud combines a public cloud and a private cloud by allowing data and applications to be shared between them. In the previous major version of Azure, a deployment backend model called Azure Service Manager was used. With higher demand on scaling, being more flexible and more standardized, a new model called the Azure Resource Manager was introduced, and is now the standard way of using Azure. This includes a new portal, a new way of looking at things as resources, and a standardized API that every tool, including the Azure Portal, that interacts with Azure uses. With the classic Azure system management, you could previously manage only one resource on the Azure platform at the same time. Azure Resource Manager is a unified application model that provides consistent end-user experiences while interacting with the resource providers on the user behalf. These services are referred to as resources in the model. One of the main advantages of Resource Manager are templates, which allows you to create and deploy an entire Azure infrastructure declaratively. The Resource Manager and classic deployment models represent two different ways of deploying and managing your Azure solutions. You work with them through two different API sets, and the deployed resources can contain important differences. The two models aren't compatible with each other. Both models are accessible from Azure Portal. The Azure Portal is a web-based, unified console that provides an alternative to command line tools. With the Azure Portal, you can manage your Azure subscription by using a graphical user interface. It is designed for resiliency and continuous availability. It maintains a presence in every Azure data center. This configuration makes the Azure Portal resilient to individual data center failures and avoids network slowdowns by being close to users. The Azure Portal updates continuously and requires no downtime for maintenance activities. As a new subscriber to Azure services, the first thing you see after you sign into the portal is Azure Home. This page compiles resources that help you get the most from your Azure subscription. If you're a new subscriber, you'll have to create a resource before there's anything to manage. You can order a new resource using the Azure Marketplace. Using it, you can provision end-to-end solutions quickly and reliably, hosted in your own Azure environment. At the time of writing, there are more than 8,000 listings. To start using Azure, you need an account and subscription. At first, you create a new account and a subscription will be created for you. After you've created an account, you're free to create additional subscriptions. For example, your company might use a single Azure account for your business and separate subscriptions for development, marketing, and sales departments. After you've created an Azure subscription, you can start creating Azure resources within each subscription. If you're new to Azure, you can sign up for a free account on the Azure website to start exploring at no cost to you. Free account includes free access to popular Azure products for 12 months, a €170 credit to spend for the first 30 days, and access to more than 25 products that are always free. To sign up, you need a phone number, a credit card, and a Microsoft or GitHub account. The credit card information is used for identity verification only. You won't be charged for any services until you upgrade to a paid subscription. This was Cloud Stories Podcast. Thanks for listening and have a nice day.